Hello, I am Sandra Lee, and this is Thursday Tips for Thriving. I took on a big topic today, so I am only going to be able to touch the very little bit about this topic, human design and making powerful requests. So here's the deal. In human design, which gives me a chart based on my birth date that tells me a lot about who I am, there are a lot of things in the chart that impact communication, my ability to ask for what I want, my ability to be seen and recognized and get what I want. All of those things have aspects of the chart that can impact them. So, we're going to start talking a little bit about this today, and maybe we will do more with this another time. So, human design gives me a chart based on where the planets were at the time I was born. And the themes that are in the chart tell me the sorts of experiences I'm going to have consistently in life. And as I work with people doing biofield tuning, but also doing human design, very often this is a problem that people have. They don't feel like they're heard. They don't feel like they're seen. They don't feel like anybody listens to them. And a lot of it can come from the chart. So let's talk a little bit about these dynamics. Okay. So it's like, this is my chart. And here we have this brown square here. That's the throat center. And oh, by the way, if you have questions, you can stick them in the comments and I will see them. Okay. So this is the throat center. This is the center where I am doing things that are obviously related to the throat center, communicating, being heard, asking for what I want, being recognized and appreciated is also here. Okay. And then there's aspects associated with being able to do things, being able to get out there and make things happen. There's all sorts of different ways of experiencing this throat energy. And depending on the dynamics of your particular chart, that can make it really challenging. Okay. So it's like you can see that mine is brown. If the throat center on your human design chart is brown, then it's what we call defined. Okay. And that means that so it's like there's all these colored lines. They're called gates. And when I have, like you can see, that there's this long black line connecting the will center, this red one, and the throat center. Yeah, being taken seriously or not being taken seriously is going to come into this. Okay, we can talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so when my throat center is defined, I have a little bit more ease in communicating. But there's some people like me who have it connected to something we call a motor. Okay, so on the chart, there are 4 motors. This sacral center that mine is white, the emotional solar plexus that is mine is white, the root center down here at the bottom, and the motor that I have that connects to the throat is the will center, this one here. Those 4 centers are all what we call motors. And when people have something we call a motorized throat, one of these motors connects to the throat center. And that alone makes it easier for that person to be heard, to speak, to be understood. It's a lot more complicated than that. But basically, when people have a motorized throat, it's easier to be heard and to communicate. And when it comes to making requests, people with motorized throats have an easier time of that. There are lots of people who do not have a motorized throat. There are people who have the throat center brown like I do, but it's connected up here and disconnected from here. Or it can be connected to this identity center or G here, can also be connected to the spleen here. But if it's not connected to one of those four motors, the person may struggle with being heard. And if there is something like that going on in your chart, just learning about that can make so much difference. Help you understand the dynamics that have happened in your life, your whole life, in all of your relationships, because some people really struggle with being heard. And not having a motorized throat is a part of that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are destined, fated to never be heard. It just means you have to work with it. You have to have a strategy for how to be taken seriously, how to be listened to, and have what you say be considered by other people as, is there some relevance to that? Is that important for me? Should I take that seriously? Because not everyone is going to do that. How can I increase the likelihood that what I say, that my requests, that my expression of how I feel be taken seriously? If I am living in alignment with my chart, that alone makes it more likely. Whatever my design is, whatever the specifics on my chart are, if I am doing it in a way that is in alignment with my chart, I'm more likely to have ease, positive experiences, things going the way I want when I'm in alignment with my design. But let's talk about this thing about how do I then work with that? If I don't have a motorized throat, if my throat center is white, undefined, or not connected to these motors down here, maybe it's connected up here to the head. Some people in their human design chart, they have definition up here. Like I might have lots that I know and lots that I want to say, but some people, that's all the definition they have. All of the rest of the stuff is white. Or they have definition up here, so lots to say, lots of opinions, okay? And sometimes they might have definition down here, like I do, without all of this stuff in the middle. Imagine a chart that has these two up at the top and these two down at the bottom, because there's quite a few people who have that configuration, okay? And none of this stuff in the middle. So you have things that you know and stuff down here that you feel the pressures and all that kind of things, but this big gap between the two. So it's like, how do I take the things that I know, the opinions that I have, and be heard when all of this stuff in here is empty? How do I do that? Because everybody wants to be heard. Doesn't matter what their configuration is. So here's what I tell people. Ask for permission. And I when I do readings for people, I tell them this all the time. But even when I'm not doing human design readings, this is just a good principle to follow, no matter what your design is, right? So it's like for me as well, I do this. I have a motorized throat. So it's easier for me than for other people who don't have motorized throats. But I still do this because this is just generally good communication and relationship strategy. Okay. If you want to be taken seriously, whatever it is you're saying, do this. Okay. Get permission before speaking. Get permission before sharing your thoughts, your feedback, your suggestions, certainly anything that's criticism, instructions, asking someone to do something, right? Ask for permission first. And how do you do that, right? I can kind of just ask for permission because I have a motorized throat. If you don't have a motorized throat, it can take a little bit more strategizing or coming up with a way. Here's the way, okay? I call this dangling it in front of people. Okay. So it could be anything. I'm just using a tuning fork because I have tuning forks. Okay. So it's like, hey, you, my husband say. And it's like, hey, I have something you might want to know. Dangle, dangle, dangle. See, look at this. This might be useful information for you. You might want this might help you with the problem that you're struggling with. This thing in your life isn't going very well. Would you like an idea of something that might help you? I have an idea that might help you so that they know that you have something you want to say to them, a suggestion, a thought, whatever. I have something you want to know. Would you like to hear it? Ask for permission. If you don't ask for permission and you just tell the person what you want to say, particularly if it's challenging, right? Do this. Don't do this. There's something wrong. Judgment, criticism, correction. When someone just tells me what to do or tells me I'm wrong or tells me I should do something better, what's my natural inclination? Resist it. No, I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told that I'm doing something wrong. So naturally, I resist it. It's like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. And I might even get angry or I might not hear you. Sometimes people who don't have motorized throats, when they say things, other people don't even hear them. Not at all. I've heard stories about that. I don't know. I have a motorized throat, so that's not my issue, right? If I just tell people what I want to say without asking for permission first, I'm more likely to be misunderstood. People are more likely to get offended at what I say. So if I ask for permission before dumping information or my opinion on people, the response I am going to get is going to be so much different. So I say, you might want to know this. You want to hear it? What if they say no? What if they say no? Because they might. Then don't tell them. They've said no, which means I am not ready to hear what you have to say. They are closed to the information. So wait for another time. If it's somebody you relate with regularly, you will have another opportunity and say, okay, let's try this another time. You ready to hear what I have to say now? If they say no, then don't tell them and just do it again and again. And so it's like, hey, this might really help you with what you're dealing with. You sure you don't want to know? Right? And then when they say yes, could be the first time, could be the 10th time. When they say yes, then ask, is now a good time? If they say no, then it's not a good time. When would be a good time? Later on today? Tomorrow? Next week? Get a time. And then at that time, okay, so you said now is a good time to talk. You still want to hear me? Now a good time still? Right? So every time they say yes, you're getting some agreement. Agreement is really important. This is permission. This is permission to share information with them. Makes all the difference. When I know information is coming and I have said yes, I am open to it. And when you share what you have to share, I'm much more likely to listen, to receive it, to take it in. So get permission, share what you have to share, but don't dump it all over them. Do a little bit and then say, what did you think about that? Do you want more? And then give them more if they are ready. So by doing this with people, you train people in what to expect in interacting with you. You train people how this is going to go. And if this is someone who is in your life all the time, Doing this is going to make so much difference. In my posts I've been talking about recently, when people, aren't very supportive, don't hear me, don't listen to me. And I might make requests, but nobody else follows through, or they don't even hear me sometimes, or they discount my request because they discount me. The more you can live consistent with your chart and ask for permission before saying things to people that could possibly be challenging or difficult, you're going to train the people in your life that this is what to expect in relating with you. So if you then have a request to make, it's going to be much more taken seriously. Much more likely that the person who you are interacting with and making a request of will actually follow through and give you what you're asking for. Powerful requests in alignment with your human design chart make so much difference. Your experience of relating with people will completely change if they have been challenging, not so good, not so fulfilling, not so happy, people aren't listening to you. Get in alignment with your chart and ask for permission before saying whatever it is you have to say. Now, people are going to say, so do I always have to ask for permission? It depends. If you have an existing, long-standing relationship, you have some understood automatic permission. But if I just start telling someone, my husband, it's like just start dumping stuff on him, he's not ready for it. He doesn't know that I'm going to say something or something that might be challenging or difficult. He might be busy thinking about or working on something. So if I just start talking, he's not ready. So, hey, I have a question for you. I have something I need to ask. This is just a tiny little question that asks for permission, and the person will be prepared for what you have to say then, as opposed to being busy. Like if I interrupt my husband when he's working on the computer, he is like sucked into what he is focusing on. He's not paying attention to me. He is not ready for what I have to say. So if I ask, hey, I have something I need to ask you, he's then ready if he says yes. If it's like, no, not, I'm busy, then I know that I need to wait for another time. That is going to make a huge difference in the power and effectiveness of your requests. Is that helpful? I know. I think it would be. Okay. So that is how to address this whole thing about not having a motorized throat. I have a motorized throat and I still do this asking for permission piece. Okay. What happens if I don't have a motorized throat? This is really going to make a life-changing difference for you. It's going to have the energy blocks that are happening in your chart around this dynamic of communication and relationship and asking for things. It's going to change that. By getting permission, you allow the energy to flow in the chart, in your body. You're already kind of in a collaboration with the person you're talking with when you ask for permission. And then, so it's like, it's a relationship. It turns it into a dance. There are a lot of people who feel like they just don't have any power in their relationships. Nobody seems to value and appreciate them. Nobody listens to them or takes them seriously. Doing this thing about asking for permission gets there being a back and forth happening, so that the stuckness associated with the relationship starts to move a little bit and new things start becoming possible. New things start becoming possible. Let's see more about this. If you, Dawn, if you have a question, a specific question, now would be a good time because I'm about to switch into another topic and I haven't decided what that is yet. Another aspect of this whole thing about being communicating. Sometimes people have a hard time knowing what they want. And that makes complete sense. If I don't know who I am, it's hard to know what I want. There are so many people who I have worked with who come from a place of having had so much trauma in their life that they don't know who they are. I mean, in a literal sense, yes, my name is such and such, and these are my relationships, and this is what I do, yes, but they don't know who they are inside. They don't know sometimes what their values are, what matters to them. They don't know what they want because early in life, trauma led me to think that I couldn't have what I want. I couldn't be the person that I wanted to be. I couldn't ask for what I need because of the trauma that has been in my life experience. And so when I am relating with people, I feel like nobody cares about me. Nobody hears me anyway. Nobody sees me and who I am. And a person who feels like that is likely not really going to know themselves very well because they don't feel like they've had the opportunity to develop wants and needs and desires and express themselves because they didn't get that kind of space, that kind of permission, that kind of support when they were younger. So many people. I was one of them for a long, long, long time. I'm so glad that I've done all kinds of growing and things like that. And I understand who I am much better now. So if you are in a place of not really knowing yourself very well, just know there's a lot of people out there that are like that. You're not alone. And it is possible to do something about that, to understand yourself and your wants and needs more fully. And it takes releasing the trauma, the stuff that's happened in the past. I know things that I used to believe was that I'm bad and I hurt people. So it's like from that place of believing that everything I do is bad and hurts people and nobody wants what I have to say anyway. In that place, I'm not going to know who I am and what I want. I'm not because I've never felt safe in developing that person, in being that person. So know that it's okay if that's where you are. It is possible to find something else. It really is. So have hope. I know my life is entirely different. And I love being able to help people like you who are in that place, possibly, of not being given the space to know who you are and what you want. Now I am focusing not just on individuals and themselves and their health, and helping them be able to work with businesses and serve other people. Because the experiences that I have had early in life that were difficult, those are some of my gifts. So the things about not feeling like you get taken seriously or that people are always asking you for things, and you don't understand why. It's like, why don't they care about me? Why don't they take me seriously? There's gifts in that. You just have to find them. So, and what gifts do you have from that? Yeah. If you watched the video where I talked about one of my clients who had exactly that experience. If you haven't watched it, I recommend finding it, because helping her understand why it happened, again, human design chart stuff, totally changed her life. So if that is the case for you, Dawn, know that there might well be a solution that gives you so much more freedom to be yourself and to feel like you're seen. This is one of those situations where understanding your chart can make all the difference. It's like that client that I talked about, right? She went from resisting this experience, hating this experience that people were always asking her for things, asking her for help. Turned it around completely because she realized that that was an opportunity. Those people were coming to her for help, for what she only could offer them. And she stopped resisting that experience. She realized, oh, this is the world wanting what I have to offer. Changed her life. Completely changed her life. So when it comes to being able to make powerful requests, know that if you feel like nobody hears you, there is a way, many ways really, to work with that and to help your energy get unstuck, to take the experiences from the past that have been traumatic, help the energy from those traumas to be able to be released so that you can live a life where you feel like people appreciate you and you serve. You make a difference in the world. And this whole issue with making requests or not making requests or being heard and seen can go so much more easily. It really can. When I am doing biofield tuning, I see the human design chart overlaid on the biofield, the energy field around the body. And the area of the heart and the connection between the heart and the identity center or the sense of who I am, and connection between the throat and what I know gets blocked all of the time. So helping the energy to be able to flow through there makes it easier for people to get past the traumas associated with not being heard and seen. So it's not being used, but rather it's only I can give that person what they are needing in their life at that moment. It's not clear. I would have to look at your chart, Dawn, to be able to be more, to give you more clarity about that. It's like, it's really dependent on the specific energies in your chart sometimes. The specific, individual little colored lines. There's 64 of these individual gates, and they each have a different energy, a different theme that they bring into your life. So the specifics of what that looks like is really dependent on what the individual colored lines are and which of the centers, the shapes, are defined or undefined, and what's connected to what. I mean, I can talk about the chart, any one chart, Dawn, for hours, hours and hours and hours, depending on the question that you have, the struggle that you are dealing with will influence what we look at, what we say. So it's like there are experiences that people have that they struggle with. And when I help them see, you know what? It's in your design chart. This is designed to be your life experience. It enables them to stop resisting it and hating it. I wish this didn't happen. To, oh, okay, this is supposed to happen. Then what do I do? There's nothing wrong with me that this is happening. I'm not doing anything wrong. Nobody else did anything wrong. This is just part of who I am designed to be. It makes it so much easier to deal with. So, Dawn, if you want to talk about how human design and possibly biofield tuning might help you, we can find some time to talk. So just message me and we can, complimentary chat and see if this might help you. Because it might. I mean, it sounds like this is something that is really causing problems for you. So anyway, that is today's Thursday Tips for Thriving session. It's been wonderful having Dawn on. And if anyone else, has questions that come up or whatever about this, put it in the chat, put it in the comments, and I will talk about it in my future videos. I make these every day. So thanks for watching. And if anybody wants to have a, time to talk with me about how human design and biofield tuning might help you be the person you want to be, then let me know. You're welcome. Thank you. Breathe.